The Pocketcat is probably the second face of Fear and Hunger. I mean, the Crowmeller is the face of the game. No arguing there. The way he pecks your head off is unforgettable. But the Pocketcat has personality. He has style. He has the ability to make you value a claymore over your dignity. And what's great about the Pocketcat is that whether you find him charming, creepy, or just annoying, his character still works. You don't really have to think about what the Pocketcat is to like him, but I did. He does raise a few questions, like, why did the developer make the Pocketcat the way he is? And what is he really under that mask? Is he just pretending to be nice to get us to sell to him? Or does he really like us? What's he do with all those kids? Well, using the power of thinking, I've been able to answer 3 of these questions. The 4th question still scares me. Let's start with how it started. Pocketcat as a character does a couple of things well, and it all starts with the introduction. You find him a decent bit into the first game, standing by some supply boxes in a cave. It looks like he's been setting up a shop, but you'll have to find out by talking to him first. He's very friendly and well spoken, but he's also just kind of weird, even besides his mask. Kind of how you talk to him, he'll ask if you love him, and he does take the rejection pretty well at least. Not a nice first impression. Then you get down to business. He's indeed a merchant. He doesn't want your money though. He wants your fucking kids. It's probably one of the best atmospheric moments of the game. Fear and Hunger is meant to be dark, and Pocketcat casually dropping a request for children really helped with that atmosphere. There's something else that can really help with the shock though. See, Pocketcat has a lot in common with this guy named Zachary. Zach is the shopkeeper in a French indie game called OFF. It's over a decade old now, but OFF was one of the biggest RPG Maker indie games, and it was a major influence on Undertale. Papyrus's design is actually loosely based off a boss from OFF, and if you've played before, Pocketcat will remind you a lot of Zachary. They're both masked humans you'll find deep in a cave, a flash of sanity in a swarm of monsters. They both speak flowery language and break the fourth wall at times. And Zach even puts on a grinning cat mask halfway through the game. When you first see this cheery cave cat, you'll go, "Oh, it's Zachary. This must be the first merchant." Then he slanders a request for children. Off's getting pretty old. This could all be a coincidence. But if you played Off, this makes meeting the cat hit a lot harder. Meanwhile, in the second game, the situation is reversed. You see the Pocketcat beating a sack with a kid in it, then he goes on one of his tangents. I like this. Even if you're already familiar with the Pocketcat from the first game, this will probably make you jump a bit. It's more blatant than he usually is. You probably won't even have any kids to sell to the cat, but it gives you something to think about. Nothing going your way in the dungeon, but Pocketcat believes in you. And you want to appreciate that. You don't want to hate the guy, even though he abducts children. Pocketcat is memorable because of the great writing, but it's really special when a game can make you forgive someone for abducting kids, because they're just too nice when no one else is. Or maybe you will settle the cat. He does have deep pockets. You probably go for the claymore, but everything he sells can be useful. The game doesn't track your morals. If you sell the girl, that just means you don't have the girl. The game doesn't even judge you for it like it does when you sit in the chair. Fear and Hunger 1 doesn't have much room for moral choices, but Pocketcat gives you 2 strong ones. That's all you really need. I did mean 2 choices. The third time you meet Pocketcat, he's a bit less polite. He's, kindly threatening you in his own way. If this is your first time, you won't know it's coming, but you're very far into the game, and you might be too exhausted to risk a fight with the guy. Sure, you won't give him the girl because you're greedy, but will you give him the girl because you're scared? You'd be proud of yourself after that? If you still don't hand her over, he'll just give up and leave, but you didn't know he would. You don't really get to talk to the girl much. He's quiet, and you're the player, so there's not much talking going on, but dealing with the Pocketcat allows you to really decide if you're protecting the girl, or if you're using the girl. So, the Pocketcat's not just a great character, he's also important for creating a story with your party members. That's worth one question. Now what the hell is he? Well, the design of the Pocketcat itself comes from one of Miro's previous games. I don't know much about it, but I believe he never finished it. And interestingly enough, art of the game shares a lot with in-game books about the Pocketcat. It seems like he's some kind of Bigfoot that scares naughty kids who run away from their parents. We don't technically know what he did with the kids, so let's just pretend he eats them. The Pocketcat's been around for hundreds of years, and works for the trickster moon god, Rare. Rare probably created them, but hey, maybe he just hired Bigfoot. In either case, Rare uses him for a lot, but at heart, Pocketcat just wants to abduct some kids. He's intrinsically motivated when it comes to that, so Rare lets him do it. See, the girl harbors a soul that lets her become a god, and Rare doesn't really want humans to become gods. The Pocketcat's been around for years, so we don't really know what they've been doing in that time, but right now, Rare specifically wants them to hunt that girl. If you find any of their kids, he'll buy them, but his job is to get the girl, and it's a job he likes doing. If you don't back down to the threats, he asks Rare what to do, but Rare has him step down. He still wants the girl. Why would Rare have him step down? Pocketcat could definitely fight everyone. He's a tough opponent in the second game, and that's when he's fighting under a loophole. But Rare's an old god, the trickster moon god. And I think that's what explains it. Old gods aren't like people. They don't think like us, but Rare is a trickster. An honest threat to your life isn't a trick. Faking it is. A direct attack would be unbecoming of the trickster moon god. Even if Rare hates the girl, Rare's the trickster first and foremost. That takes priority over getting her. But what about all the other abductions Pocketcat does? Rare only wanted the girl, as far as we know. Well, one of Rare's other creations is called the Lady of the Moon, and she'll buy the girl, but she won't buy any other kids. Meanwhile, Pocketcat is just attacking kids in alleys. Maybe Pocketcat just likes doing it, and Rare only uses him when he needs a specific kid dead. But how often can that be? Maybe the Pocketcat is just a random Bigfoot. Doesn't look like any of their creatures Rare creates. Rare hired him to get the girl, gave him powers like mind reading so he could charm people better, and they've been working together ever since. But maybe not. Maybe Rare just likes killing kids. It's hard to say. We learn a good bit more about the Pocketcat in the second game. First, we learn that Rare uses him for other odd jobs as well. Pocketcat is sworn to buy your severed heads in the festival, and he says he got used to it, so he probably doesn't like it that much. He seems less motivated during the festival, he'll only stumble upon you by accident, then he's out of reach for most of the game. It's not his favorite job, and maybe it doesn't help that Rare is actually dead. Meanwhile, if you attack the Pocketcat, he needs to use the loophole to defend himself. He's fully willing to exploit it though. He may be obedient to Rare, but he doesn't seem to love the job. We also learn more about what Pocketcat is. It seems he's an identity passed down between people, complete with mind-reading powers, brute strengths, a mask that can't be removed, and a spot in Rare's dimension. It seems like he probably is the mask, in the same way SCP-35 is, and it needs new hosts from time to time, probably because of the aging. It seems interested in Dan specifically, maybe because of his blank soul, because of his rounded personality, or because of his dark past and hopelessness, or because of his fashion. He makes a bargain with Dan. Dan will host it, and then he can find answers about his problems, supposedly. But after Dan becomes the Pocketcat, they act completely identical to the current one. The only distinct difference is a slight change in clothes and a change in the Pocketcat's room in Rare's dimension. The room's never explained, but it's likely that Dan's personality is somehow stored in the room while the Pocketcat is in control. All we can say for sure is that he obeys the moon god, but does some of the stuff just because he likes it. Even the new gods don't know much about him. What really matters is, does he really love me? Considering Pocketcat works for the trickster moon god, it's easy to assume everything he does is an act. When it comes to trust like this, you might have to go with your gut. My gut says it's a bit of both. Sure, Pocketcat's charm is what helps him sell, and he guilt trips you a bit if you don't give him the girl, but he's just as friendly in Termina, even though he doesn't give a shit if you trade with him or not. Don't worry, you're really friends, I promise. If you want to date Pocketcat, just pay attention to his class. Visit him during his office hours. Ask him nicely. He's reasonable, it'll work out. Well, that's all I know about the purple guy. Let me know what you think. Does something prove Rare created him? Does something prove he really loves me? Does anything link him to the Sulphur God? I couldn't answer everything, but I hope this gives you more room to think about him where I fail. If there's anything else in Fear and Hunger you think I should touch on, leave it in the comments. Otherwise, guess I'll see ya.